right, we are ready. We are ready, y'all. Man, what a literally fire episode tonight. Welcome all. We just had our watch party for episode 7, which what is it? The penultimate episode. Next week's the finale, and what a handoff from hopefully 7 to 8, because let me tell y'all something, man. That's how you do it. That is how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. How you do setup, how you do a character development, decisions being made, regrets being had, Allison having a moment of regrets, Damon kind of falling back on his decisions that he's made early in this season. Rhaenyra, same thing. A huge decision she made tonight. Oh my goodness. I have so much to say about this episode, and I'm so excited to be here with you all. But again, thank you to everyone joining live. Thank you to all those that watched the live watch party. A lot of live reactions to all of it. I went down, and we're gonna break it down tonight. But appreciate y'all that are tuning in. If you guys can, if you enjoyed the episode, put a like Denzel, put a fire emoji in the comment section. Man, we're gonna break it down, man. But as I think about this episode, obviously just coming off of watching it, I have no notes. I really love how this episode set up everything. It was beautifully shot, number one, just from a visual presentation. Beautiful episode. You know, before we get into my thoughts, as you all know, I cut these into like shorter breakdowns. So before I get into my thoughts, let me turn on this light right quick for get some better lighting. Give me 1 second. Let's see, is that better? All right, that's a lot better. I have a bit of a migraine, so I'm trying to like dim the lights down. But we gonna have to turn lights on for y'all can see me. Got something to talk about. But anyway, like I was saying, I always like to make these into shorter reviews. So I'm gonna do my quick little intro and get into my thoughts about this episode, man. Anyway, with that being said, welcome everyone. We are here to talk about tonight's episode of House of the Dragon, the penultimate episode, an episode that was just filled with just incredibleness. As we'll talk about, of course, spoilers ahead, the decisions made, the regrets had, the character development, the epicness, the score, the cinematography, the way that the story unfolded, the conclusion, let me tell y'all something. When I saw Rhaenyra with the gang of dragons behind her, you know, obviously her dragon, Cyrax, we got Silverwing and Vadamor. I'm ready. I'm ready for next week. That was one of the coldest shots of Game of Thrones. Like, she's just like, what you want to do? Because she ain't seen him since last time, she killed her son Luke. So we're going to break it all down. Let me know in the comments now. What did you think of the episode? What was your favorite moment? And are you ready for the finale? Let's talk about it in the comments. But let's get into this breakdown, man. We're going to go scene by scene. This I just have so much I'm glowing about this episode. First and foremost, you knew we was into something when you opened the episode with this shot here. I mean, talk about, again, incredible cinematography. Talk about just what this scene sets up within this episode. We have Cyrax. We have the sea smoke. Obviously, we know what happened with last week. The sea smoke shows Adam. Beautiful scene. Great moment for the character. And we have this little bit of a showdown. And let me tell you right now, what I loved about this opening scene, what I loved about this moment in general is, you know, a lot of shows, and Game of Thrones has been victim of this, where you have these two characters. They're not on the same page. They're not, there's a mystery going on. You don't know what's happening with the characters, and the show kind of lingers on that, and it just lingers. And we have these disagreements and these arguments, and who are you? What house are you from? Back and forth. And the whole episode, or most of the episode, is about that riff or that misunderstanding. This opening scene told me everything I need to know about this episode. We weren't messing around. And look, I've seen the criticisms that the episodes in the season so far for some people have been slow. Hasn't really been up to par for a lot of people. And I understand some of that. I've been enjoying the hell out of the season, minus 1 or 2 episodes, whatever the case may be. But this episode, this scene in particularly, just let me know that we were in for something special. Because instead of Adam being bold and being, egotistical or having some type of claim to this newfound power with a dragon. No, he was like, and first off, Rhaenyra, I love you, but she came in a little hot, respectively so. But she came in, who are you? What are you about? What's your name? What house are you from? By all accounts, great questions. But I love how Adam is just like, I am bending the knee. I am from the backwoods. I'm not a high blood. I am here to serve you. That told me everything I need to know about him and about this scene and about this episode. That we were not going to be wasting time with unnecessary dialogue, unnecessary tension, unnecessary back and forth. I love it. I love this scene. I love and again, just the way that the scene is set up with the two dragons off in the background with them coming face to face. No notes. This was just such a great scene. Such a great scene. And again, shout out to Rhaenyra coming with the good questions, but also shout out to Adam, recognizes game. This is, as I said in my watch party, they both read the room. They both understood the assignment and they got to business. I'm here for it. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with me in that scene as I set up the next one here. I love it. This is great. No time wasted. I love it, man. What was our next in here? Because there's literally so much going on in this episode. And no quorums with this. Let me see. What was the next episode? This was a pretty long scene here. What do we go from there? Well, you know what? We'll to expedite things just to make it easier. Let's talk about Alicent. She was someone in this episode that kind of went off on her own. She's looking for clarification. She's looking for some type of path that she can go on because she is she's lost. She has seen her flaws and what those flaws have done to her children. Obviously with the king and Aegon, and obviously she has no control over Aemon, and her daughter just lost her son, and it's just a lot of mistakes being had on her part. And what I liked about this episode, and we'll go later on the scenes, but I like that this particular scene with Alicent, this journey she goes on, wasn't necessarily in the forefront. And it, for some, it might have took away from the tension and the suspense and the momentum going on the episode, but I really enjoyed this little path that we're seeing, because again, this whole journey for all the characters is a reflection, you're right, from their past and how their past has formed their future, and or not even necessarily their future, but their present, which again could affect their future. So we're going to keep an eye on Alice in this episode and talk about a moment that I think she wanted to end things, but she's looking for her purpose. And that's another thing that I like about this episode is purpose. That is a really strong theme and a really strong focal point in this episode. And even though she's Team Green, I like the journey she goes on. And we'll get to her kind of coming to Jesus moment a little bit later in the episode. But let me know how y'all feeling about Alicent and just the journey she went on, the camping trip, the going into the waters or what have you. Let me know how you feel about that. But let's move on. Let's move on. Again, we got so many little moments of characters. I don't want to glance over this or go past this moment because it does set up something, which is these two here. Larys talking to I can't think of the gentleman's name now, but they're having a conversation about just again positioning yourself. And again, Team Green is lost. I thought Otto was going to pop up this episode, but he didn't. But we're having this conversation between the two about, hey, I heard that there's, Sea Smoke has claimed their rider. Obviously, it's not in the benefit of the Greens, so they're recognizing what's going on. He asks for advice from Larys about talking about this to the king. He's like, just keep that to yourself, because obviously we know that Larys has his own goal, which is telling everything to Aegon and positioning himself to potentially be the hand of the king if Aegon ever comes to, good health and comes back to being the king. So a small scene, but it's just showing you the where the lines have been drawn with characters and whose sides they're on. And again, this whole episode was just choose your side, pick your moves wisely. And this is one example of that. But before we move on, actually, quick shout out to the super chat. He says, I haven't read these books, but something about this episode made me feel like Allison is saying farewell. I'm going to get to that point. Nicholson, Glover Nicholson, that is something I had in my notes that I will bring up about where she's at mentally and a moment that she might have ended it all. We will definitely get to that, but I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoyed the episode because I surely did, and we'll talk about it more. But shout out to Glover Nicholson with the recognition of a scene that we will get into, but also showing some love and support to the channel. I appreciate you. But let's get on to what's the next juicy scene. Let me see. And also, too, I don't want to neglect from that previous scene I was just talking about. They are very much aware of Eamon and his decisions and where things are going and how he's feeling about things. So definitely keep an eye on Laris. And someone else to keep an eye out for is, as we'll talk about later in this breakdown, is Jace. Let me see. What was our next big moment here? Yeah, let's break this down. Let me see if I can find a good screen grab. Here we go. Yet again, Masaria, the White Worm, is proving herself to me. I've went from can we trust her, can we not trust her? I don't know if we can trust her. Is her feelings genuine for Rhaenyra? To she is yet again proving me that she's making the right moves, the right decisions. At this point in the episode, we have Rhaenyra who's just like, we got to find more dragon riders. I got to look through all these papers and find the bloodlines. See, because at this point, obviously, she's accepted the point that Adam is someone that has Targaryen blood in him, and she's accepted that, and he's accepted her. Welcome to the team Black. All day. But she's like, let me go through these books and comb through the family trees. And I'm sorry, it's like, my queen, this is a waste of time because, as you see, there's a way to expedite this process, which is, unfortunately, when it comes to high bloods and it comes to the royal family, there's not a lot of loyalty and commitment in relationships, and there are a lot of bastard sons out there. So Masaria plants the seed into the queen's head that we need to find some more Targaryen blood, and we need to go to King's Landing. We can find them, and again, get the process going. So I am all about Masaria right now and her decisions and her advice and the things she's given to the queen. It's all working out to her benefit so far. Again, if they pull the rug under me and it's all a setup for her to get on top, that's going to be heartbreaking. But so far, everything she's providing, the advice she's giving, the suggestions are pretty on point and have benefited the queen immensely. So I'm liking that a lot. But let me tell you about one of my favorite subtle scenes of this episode. And I'm going to see if I have a better screen grab of it because I respect this scene and I love this scene so much. Again, it's subtle, it's quiet, and it you didn't miss it. You saw the episode clearly, but just understanding the subtlety and the importance of the scene. Let me see if I can pull it up here for y'all. Let's see. Can I get a good angle of this conversation? Let me see. Let me find a better. I'll just use this. Anyway, the scene I'm referring to is between father and son, between Adam and Corlys. And he's telling his dad, listen, I've found a purpose. I no longer want to work, on the ship, and all that stuff. I would like to pursue my duties of what I've been given as far as being a dragon rider and representing my queen. And he's probably expecting a little bit of pushback from his father. But again, I go back to something I appreciated about this episode is getting straight to the point. There's no unnecessary drama, unnecessary disagreements, unnecessary fighting, waste of time. Corlys, game recognizes game. And what I mean by that is he recognizes that his son, who he still, has yet to claim. Let me see if I can find a better shot of this. Let me take this down for a second to find a better shot. Let's see. I'll just use this. Like I said, game recognizes game. He sees how his son didn't sit by for something to come to him. Because we know Corlys is someone that's handmade, that's self-made. He kind of built what he has, his legacy by his own hands. He was never given anything. So how that correlates to his son, he didn't go begging for a dragon. The dragon found him. He found purpose and he owned it. And again, the respect, the level of respect there. Obviously, we know Adam isn't the fondest of his father, and obviously, we know Corliss hasn't taken his kids in, but he recognizes the nobility, the purpose, the wherewithal to make the moves that can help him, that can benefit him. So again, game recognized game, and we didn't have to spend 10 minutes of dialogue, 10 minutes of them going back and forth, and all the father had to say to his son, well done. I like it. I love the subtlety in this episode, y'all. Again, they could have dragged it out. They could have dragged out the opening scene and had Adam be, like I said, all pompous and like, oh, who are you? Blah, blah, blah. No, you're my queen. I bend the knee. Let's get to work. Dad talking to his son, what do you think you're doing? Nah. You're going to get me caught up in this and, you're a bastard. No. Well done. That's all I need to know. And I love it. Before we get moving back into the breakdown, let me check in with you guys. And my apologies for not checking in throughout the live stream, because I'm holding it in pretty well, but I have a crazy migraine. So I don't mean to rush by things and go by things, but I do want to highlight the big moments. But I need to take an Advil and call it a night because my head is thumping. Let me catch up to the top here. And before we get back to the breakdown, again, I appreciate all of y'all watching live. Means the world to me because I know you could be doing anything, be anywhere, enjoying other content, but you're here with me and I appreciate y'all. So let me go up top and just see the comments. This episode was perfection. You know it. Team Black all day. Even Damon. So yeah, we'll get to Damon here in a bit here. The pacing, yeah. I mean, I could have said it perfect myself. Could have said it better myself. Yeah, we'll talk about Hugh. My man Hugh. The Witcher came through tonight, y'all. The Witcher came through. This episode was all that. The more the dragons, the better. Put that on a t-shirt. Let's see. Ronnie's saying my favorite part was Rhaenyra with her dragons. That right there. We'll get to that, my friend. That was a where were you moment. Where were you when Rhaenyra pulled up? Like what it where were you? I love it. What's up, Nisi? Great episode. Honestly, Adam. It could have gone worse. Yeah. Corliss ain't saying enough for me. I hear you, Zia. I think that's a little bit of the I talked about the regrets and the decisions made in this episode. I think that's a moment that he has yet to address, and he's holding back. And I think that has a lot to do with him most recently losing Rhaenys and his wife, the mother of his children. I think that he's still kind of honoring. Honestly, he dishonored their relationship. I guess we don't even know that if he had an affair when they were married. I don't know, but I think he's still holding on to just like this isn't the time or the place to present that to everyone. But I do agree that he hasn't been stepping up and claiming his kids, but there's a lot of politics behind that reveal, because what comes in next if he reveals that, Driftmark, the order of the heir, and his grandkids, and so it's complicated. But I know what you're saying though about him not claiming his sons yet. But yeah, let's get back to the juiciness. Let's see, what was our next big moment? Let's talk about the moment where Damon got out Damoned. I'm referring to Oscar Tully, who's coming at Damon. And then let me tell you something again. No nonsense, no holding back, no waste of time. I know a lot of you all at home, especially people in the live chat. Shout out to y'all. I know a lot of people have been pretty upset about the Damon storyline and the lack of things happening. Now, I personally disagree with the Damon stuff. I like what the episodes have been giving us with him and going to Harrenhal and him, again, facing your past, facing your literal demons, facing it head on and not escaping it, and what have you. But he got something, all these things he's been facing have been hallucinations. This young man on screen right now ain't no hallucination. He's the real deal. Let me tell you something about Oscar. He was about that business tonight, y'all, and I loved it. This little kid, I said it a couple weeks ago, but this show has yet to fail me when it comes to the acting department, not just from the adults, but the children, the younger generation have shown their true colors and have shown their skills in this show. This little kid, Oscar, that whoever plays Oscar, the actor, has done a great job going back and forth with Dave. And I would imagine as an actor, it's probably intimidating to be in a a scene with such a great actor like Matt Smith. But just in the perspective of the show, Oscar talking to someone like Damon and him not being afraid to share his mind. I'm telling you right now, Oscar has somehow made his way into one of my favorite characters of this show. Just in one episode. Because I mean, the first time we saw him, he was a little bit nervous. His grandfather was on his deathbed and obviously talking to this, proclaimed king and all the politics that comes with it. He was a little bit nervous, but he went back, recalibrated. He's now, running his family, and he's a grown man now. He's the king. I loved all this stuff going on with Oscar as we have the scene being played out here. We have, Damon's like, all right, you weren't of use of me a couple weeks ago, but now you are. And, live up to your honor, what your family was, which they obviously been the need of Viserys and the House Targaryen and the House, Queen Rhaenyra. But it comes with a little bit of with a little bit of an asterisk, as Oscar tells, Damon in the scene. It's like, I'm going to hold up to my grandfather's loyalty to you and your family. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like you, Damon. I don't like anything about you. I don't like the way you carry yourself. I don't like the way you've been walking around Harrenhal. I don't like the way you've been talking in your sleep, because I can hear you a mile away yelling in the middle of the night. You just don't like him. And I like that about Oscar. And he turns the tables on Damon. And I think this is the first time this season that we've seen Damon in this position of, besides the hallucinations and him having his vulnerabilities, but this is the first time that he's, verbally in person, face to face, have seen someone kind of pull the reverse Uno card on him. He tells Damon in this moment, listen, we'll ride with you. You'll have our swords with the Tullys and everyone there, the Blackwoods and all that stuff. But you're going to have to answer to your sins, Damon. You're going to have to face your demons. Again, a big theme about this season is facing it head on. So we know he sent William out to go slaughter his the Bloods and Crips, the Brackens and the Blackwoods. He did that. And Damon promised him, I'll make it worth your while if you listen to my orders. You might get something good, right? So William's like, yeah, I'll do what I have to do. I'll listen to you. But he did not see this coming. So my man Oscar, shout out to Oscar. Maybe, I'll share my MVPs of the episode later on, but I'll let you know now. Oscar's high on my list as far as MVPs of this episode. Oscar tells his people, we'll ride with you, Damon, but we have rules about how we operate around these towns. I'm gonna need you, William, come here, to answer to your crimes. And Damon, I'm gonna need you to pick a choice. I'm gonna give you a choice. I'm gonna give you an option. And this is, mind you, this is a little kid speaking to a grown man who has a dragon, by the way. Oscar tells Damon, I'm a big horror fan. I'm thinking of Jigsaw from Saw. Live or die, make your choice. But he tells Damon, you can either, we'll ride with you. You have our sword, our loyalty. We'll join you in the war. Or in order to do that, justice must be served. Or we can move on. You're not going to get our armies. Meanwhile, William's like, I don't know what this little kid is talking about. Justice. I listen to you, my king, and I don't feel like I did anything wrong. I just listened to your orders. Damon's like, yeah, I appreciate you, bro, but I came here for one thing. I want to get the hell out of here. Number one, so I got what I needed. So I'm gonna go ahead and just, unfortunately, our contract, our verbal has been overruled. It has been amended. And I'm going to try to find the screenshot here. But William literally lost his cool and lost his head and lost his life as Damon kills him. A couple things I want to point out before we move on. Number one, Oscar, shout out to you. You're a real one. I love the back and forth, the banter, the sense of leadership in this scene and not, backing down. Love it. Shout out to Oscar. Number two, William, it was over his head, literally. And number three, talking about Damon, you saw the look on his face and you saw the lack of power that he had in that moment. And he had to make a decision, and he made, which I think is the right one. But I also want to point out, as I'll set up the scene here, again, going back to the he's made or even this season alone, his decision has gotten multiple people killed, right? Obviously, him telling William to slaughter all those people, those innocent people. Obviously, what Damon did in episode 1, which got the young king to be killed, and now William has died at the hands of Damon. Again, the person that has set all these things in place, that has had other people affected by this. So I know the complaint of this season, or Damon's, at least his storyline, is like, what are we getting at with this? These hallucinations, him and Alice, where are we going with this? And I think while I love Millie Alcock's return, and I love, I don't say I love the scene with his mom, but again, I think this particular hallucination, this particular dream sequence might be my favorite. Because this scene here, we have Patty, who's back, who's phenomenal, King Viserys. He's obviously beaten, broken. This is the last thing, the last time Damon saw him. He was half dead, tells him the crypt. He tells Damon, looks him in the eye, and he has the crown in his hand. And he says, this crown breaks you. This crown crushes you. Do you still want it? And all those moments again of Harrenhal, getting a little child killed, getting, people in the town killed by William, giving the orders to kill him, having to kill William. All these decisions is led by this crown, by this power. And what has it gotten you, Damon? But blood on your hands. Not a step closer to the throne that you want, this crown that you want. What has it done to you? I'll tell you right now. I love the scene, and again, it makes you, again, I understand the pacing of the Damon scenes, but it all kind of comes together as him looking at this crown and seeing what it did to his brother. And this is the perfect shot here. I'm telling you something right now, not to get too far off course. Let me move myself out of the way here. That shot here of looking at the crown is just one of many phenomenal scenes and shots of this episode, because it just says everything. It says everything. Before moving on, let me see what y'all are talking about, man. This is a great episode, man. This is what I came to see. I know there's been some flaws in this season that we've addressed over the weeks. Not neglecting those issues, but this is what I've come to see. This is all those, it makes you kind of go back and think about all those slower moments, slower episodes, and how it builds to moments like this. Got no notes, man. Got no notes. But let me see what y'all are talking about before we actually, let me set up the next scene before I get into the comment section and see what you guys are thinking about Dan and about Aegon here. Let me just see if I can find a better shot here. Yeah, here we go. We'll use that. Let me scroll up. I'm trying to look at the light. It's so bright in here. Phil Benzine Black. All right, let's go with this one. Let's see what the homie voice is talking about. The kid was excellent the first time we saw him. It was early in the season. He was so green and scared, and he came. Yep, like I said, man, it goes back to just how they've set up so many of these, like, kind of, I don't want to say throwaway characters, but characters we might initially thought there was like, oh, one and done type of a situation, or a character that might not be that impactful to the overall themes and metaphors and all that stuff, important stuff of the show, but how it comes back together. So I agree with you. The young man that played Oscar deserves an Oscar. No, he was great. He was great. But again, I love the callbacks to everything that we got going on. Yeah, he was a savage. I loved it. He was about that business. Johnny saying, "You want these troops or not?" I love it. I love it. I hate the way that you walk. I hate the way you talk. I hate the way you dress. Yes, yes. Hit him with the Kendrick Lamar towards Drake. Oh, that's funny. That is funny. I love it. You guys are awesome. Headache or migraine or not, this is why I come every single week. You guys, I love it. I love it. Heavy on all the hate. Sneak this. Oh man, do you think this version of Oscar might? I like that theory. I know she seems to have some like connections to owls and birds. I don't know if that can translate into humans, like transforming, being a shapeshifter or what have you. But that's an interesting theory. Voice, I like that a lot. I don't think it's her though, because I don't think she has that levels of witchery. Nor I don't think we've ever seen that in Game of Thrones. I know we had the men of many faces type of situation, but I don't think she can manipulate body and matter and disguise herself as a human. Or maybe you're getting at like maybe the influence. Like maybe I don't think Alice had anything to do. I think that's all in reality with the Oscar stuff, him just stepping up. But that's a very interesting theory. I like it. Oscar grew up in that scene. He sure did. He sure did. Let's see. I love that Matt Smith gave Oscar kid. Yeah. It's I'm not an actor, but not to go back too far back because it's been some years. But I went to school for film and video, and I've had the opportunity to do writing, do audio, front of the camera, behind the camera, work with actors, all that stuff. And it's just like, yeah, there's a lot of tug and pulls. It's a dance when it comes to acting. And when you have an actor as talented and as gifted as Matt Smith, and when you have someone young like the young man that plays Oscar, it can be intimidating to be in a scene like that. But yeah, it's a tug and pull. It's about what you give to what you take. So I 100% agree with you that he allowed the kid to to play ball. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Oh, and I couldn't agree with this more. Heavy is the crown. Y'all spitting bars. Y'all spitting bars tonight. I love it. I guess so. I guess so. Nice. I'm on the island. I have really enjoyed those moments, but I can understand the criticisms that come from it. But love it. But back into the breakdown. Let me pull up the next scene here. I haven't read the books, as I've said 1,000 times previously. I just want people to know. Haven't read the books, but I do know from those that have read the book, I've talked about the Aegon when he's, the storyline that we're looking at, the condition that he's in. If I'm not mistaken, people have told me that he's pretty much, unable to speak, unable to walk and talk for a very long time. So the show has obviously taken a different path, and he's now able to somewhat walk and he's able to talk, which is very interesting. He's healing pretty quickly. Obviously he's not nowhere near full health. But in this scene here, we have Laris talking to the king or talking to the mainster and saying we need to get this process going because he knows that Aemon is a loose cannon. And the more and more we wait and the more the king takes his time, the quicker it is to his brothers to end up just killing him and fully taking control. So again, I'm not Team Laris, I'm not Team Aegon, I'm Team Green, but I understand what the story's getting at. Like we need to move things along before we can get back the power, especially for him, gets back in a better power position. But again, at what cost? Is he going to push the king too much that it ends up getting him more? Or is all this motivation and this kind of tips and tricks about how to walk? Because obviously he's had his disability with his foot, so we'll see what comes with it, man. But we had one father and son moment early in the episode, followed by the next. You have one son that kind of takes his destiny in his own hands. You have another son that's very loyal to his dad, or at least loyal to the way that his dad's been handling everything. He offers his son, which I love the duality of these two brothers between Adam and Alan. He offers his son, which is a smart move because it would have been nice to see all some black folks having dragons. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. I would love to see it. But Adam's like, or Alan tells his dad, I'm good, Dad. I'm of the sea. Um, you know, that's in my blood. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing here. We'll see what comes of that. I don't know how much longer. Because I mean, if you can get a dragon, that's a big upgrade, bro. But he tells his dad he's gonna stick to doing what he's doing now. And his dad's like, I respect that. Again, another father and son moment. And he has his son kind of set on his next mission that he want to have his son do. So again, I'm very much excited to see what comes of this relationship. I do wish we had maybe Alan, like, besides doing the boat stuff, doing the dragon stuff. Like, I would love to get more scenes with them and also more scenes of their father. But I'm liking what we got so far. And also, speaking of liking what we got so far, I will mention Reyna. Now, this is a character that has had, as I put in my notes, kind of a side quest of her own. Again, a character seeking purpose. And it's a side quest and a side plot that I'm really really intrigued by. I'm not entirely sure where it's going. Again, not having read the books, but a lot of you all that have read the books have let me know there's a good payoff on the other end potentially. And there's a wild dragon, as we talked about, or as it was revealed last week, and she's trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together about this mysterious dragon that's been eating all these goats and leaving their mark around. And Reyna is, listen, let me tell you something right now. I don't know what's going to happen next week. I saw the trailer. It looks incredible. I'm very excited about the finale. I'm just putting the scene in my head. If we end up seeing a scene where, we got the battles in the sky of dragons, Vagar and Cyrax and all this stuff in the air, and it's not looking good for Team Black, book readers, don't tell me if I'm right or wrong. Just go with me. But if we end up seeing Reyna finding whatever this mysterious dragon is, and she come through fourth quarter, Kobe Bryant, Black Mamba style, and save the day, or at least help the team, I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind. If I see Reyna on a dragon next week, I'm gonna go crazy. Because again, it's yet another kind of a subplot that's been a little bit in the background, hasn't really been that impactful to the main story. But if I see this girl on a dragon next week, I'm gonna go crazy in a good way. Because that is, again, this season has definitely taken its time on building momentum and building the characters. And Reyna's she's been a victim of that. She's been, I don't want to say tossed aside, but her side quest, her side plot hasn't been as intriguing. But if she finds a mysterious wild dragon, and if I see this girl on the dragon next week, game over. Team Black. But we'll see. Again, I don't know where it's going, but I'm hoping that's where it's going. Because she's been, and again, these young actors, man. Let me just go back a little bit, because it's not an easy task as a young actor to carry her own scenes. She's had adults in her moments, where she's at, but she's mostly been carrying her own scenes without other characters of any of the main characters. So for her to be able to carry her own scenes in such a noble way, in a compelling way, in a convincing way, and to have me getting excited for her having a payoff is what you want as an actress, as an actor, actress, however you want to put it, man. I really want to give props to the acting in the casting department, because they've done a good job of casting good actors that can hold their own scenes, but also collaborate with their fellow actors. So again, shout out to her. And again, put it in the calendar, put it in the books. If she's on a dragon next week, whatever this white dragon is. Trust me. But let me see. Let me see. What are we moving on to? Oh, this scene here. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can find a good screen grab. Let me see. Is there a good shot? This scene here. So Jace is upset, and rightfully so. I would say I can see where he's coming from. At this point in the episode, there is a an unroyal high, not a high noble, an Adam who's riding a dragon. And the idea is obviously to get more people that's not of necessarily the pure bloodline to ride dragons. And Jace, like I said, I see where he's coming from. He's like, you are now allowing people that's not pure blooded to ride dragons, takes away all the uniqueness of being a dragon rider, and the just the idea of what it means to be a dragon rider. You're stripping that away. And she's giving him her reasons why. We're at war. This desperate times call for desperate measures. I need to make these moves to guarantee our legacy, our family, our survival. And I did not. It was a conversation, and it wasn't like a full conversation. Obviously, it was a discussion I knew was coming sooner rather than later. And that is him addressing his mom about his father, Harwin Strong, and that he's not of, he's not of pure blood necessarily, right? He brings up, the hair, and obviously her laying in bed with, not her or not his father, Lenore. I love this moment, man, because it just, again, it takes back the whole war and who's going to be on the throne, but just a simple moment of just like, what does this mean? What does any of this mean? And he's like, Mom, just throw in the towel. Like, let's just, I really love this moment for Jace and for her, but as she says, I can't, it's too late now. And I, I'm on this path and I can't go back. Pandora's box has been open, but I really enjoy this moment between these two, man. And also there's a line in this episode that she says when she's like gathering up all the bastards, but she understands where her son's coming from. And I appreciate that's what I love about Rhaenyra. She can always see two sides of the conversation. It's not just her mind that just controls all the the narratives or what have you. So, but I really like this for Jace because it's a conversation I think needed to be had and needed to be said. I will say Jace was, like I said, I understand where he's coming from. There was some words he used, and I'm just like, I don't know how I felt about that, Jace. You need to tone it down, young man. But anyway, I get where he's coming from, and I understand where he's coming from, and I like that he's at least acknowledging the fact that he's like, I'm a bastard as well. I think he's gonna come around because you can see the honor in being a bastard, but still having purpose and having controlling your own destiny. But it's a really good scene, man. Again, I liked all the parents and their kids scenes in this episode was a really big standout to me for sure. But let's see our next moments as they're gathering up all the bastards throughout. That was the the mission that Alan was on, was to take it to King's Landing. And for a second there, I kind of forgot that they had set up in the previous episodes ago. 1 second. That because I'm like, how are all these people going to get out of King's Landing? But there's like a way to sneak out because obviously they can't leave King's Landing because of Aegon have everything on lockdown. But the plan is to gather up all the bastard Targaryens and to have them be essentially testing ground for a sacrifice, more or less. We have Off, who, again, another kind of, in my mind, like a throwaway character, but kind of represented the side of the story that's showing the noble or showing the small folks and just the common folks and how they deal with the day-to-day situation, and bragging about being a Targaryen. But now it's time to kind of step up to the to the plate and really put your um, you know, what you've been saying all this whole time, put it to test. It's your moment to shine. Um, and I really enjoyed that. Again, I didn't really think much of this character off when we met him initially and boasting and bragging about where he comes from, but we'll talk about by the end of this episode. But from off on to Hugh, aka the Witcher. We have a really good moment here when he's just like, I this is my moment. This moment was sad. I guess we find out that their daughter has sadly passed away. And he's like, I felt you, I felt my daughter, and this is my moment to step up. And she's telling him basically this is a suicide mission. As we're watching the episode, at least me, I'm like, just because you guys may or may not be Targaryens or whatnot, we saw last week a dragon don't give a damn how it's all about how the dragon feels, and it doesn't care about how much blood you have in you or what have you. It's the way of the dragon, how they choose their riders. So this is a suicide mission essentially. And he's pretty much telling his wife, I love you, and this is how I feel as though I can show my love and kind of make up for my mistakes that I've led this family, and to our daughter, in honor of our daughter, I have to go. So really good moment, man. But again, in the back of my mind, I'll pose the same question I posed to the live audience on our Watch the Live to change your family's life. Would you do it? Would you do what they did in this episode, which is go to Dragonstone and put yourself out there as a way of doing what you think is the right thing? But speaking of doing the right thing, y'all, let's go back to her, Allison, on her kind of journey of self-discovery of a sense and reflection and clarification and clarity of what has come of her life. She's lost. She's 100% lost at this point. She's lost her family. She's lost her nobility. She's lost loyalty. She's lost a lot. Rightfully so, because this is the path she's put herself on. And I mentioned earlier, and this goes back to the super chat we had a little bit earlier from Glover, referring to a moment that may have been, let me know in the comments how you all felt about this scene. But I kind of read the scene as like her moments of almost calling it quits. Let me see if I can find a better shot of this, but yeah, we'll go here. I'm super tiny. We'll go there. I could be wrong. I could be reading this scene wrong. But the way she kind of removed all her green, kind of removed all, her removing herself from the, the castle and all that stuff, all that high blood, royalty power, all that stuff, removing all that. She removed herself from that. She was removing her green. She goes in this water, and I think she was willing to call it quits. I think she was definitely willing to throw in the towel and then throw it all away and unalive herself in this moment. But it was, I don't know, it was a bird in the sky. I don't know if that's a metaphor or a symbolism of anything. It probably is. This is probably something with a bird and her family tree or something that she's connected to. But she sees a bird in the sky and she kind of has a moment of reflection. It has like a moment of like an aha, like a purposeful moment. And she decides to go against it. If I'm reading that scene right, against to taking her own life and moving forward and maybe doing the right thing. But what does that mean? What does doing the right thing mean for Allison? Does that mean trying to convince her son to end this war? Does she push forward and find a better purpose of pushing the war forward and gaining power? What does that mean for Alan? What does purpose mean for her at this point in her life? Is it peace? Is it war? We'll find out. We will find out. But I do, again, it wasn't a lot of time spent on her, but it was there's a lot of subtext and a little subtlety in her scenes that I really enjoyed. And like I said, this newfound purpose. Where does it lead? Does it lead? We will find out. But again, this is why you have someone like Olivia Cook. This is why you have someone with such gravitas in her performance. Again, Team Green, hate him, but I can understand what her character's going through. And I really enjoyed that. And also, if I haven't said it already, in her scene, and there was another scene as they were gathering up all the bastards, cinematography, number one, that shot when she was in the water was great. Also, this shot here, just so many great shots in this episode. But there was, if you guys know me, I'm a score head. I love a good score. I love a good soundtrack because it's a character in itself. It puts you in the mood, it sets the tone. The score in this episode was phenomenal. Like phenomenal, man. The scene that she was in, and like I said, the scene earlier in the episode with them gathering up all the bastards, the score really kind of overwhelmed me in this episode, and it was very, very outstanding. The score, obviously, in the show has always been great, from even Game of Thrones, but the score in tonight's episode really stood out to me because, like I said, when it hits, it's a character within itself, and there was a lot of scenes where that score was just like, oof, I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling it. But speaking of feeling it, man, Rhaenyra, your time to shine. The Queen's plan, kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. The bastards are here, and the plan is to have them. She gathers them all up, and again, she's kind of talking about purpose. Again, that's a big theme of this episode. She's just like, I understand that you all have left your families to fight this war, claiming me as your queen, and I don't underappreciate that. I appreciate that, but just understand what you're getting yourself into. If you walk in that room with that dragon, you might not make it out. But I want you to know, I appreciate you. It's a decision that is going to weigh on her, and it's a decision she has to. But as we kind of wrap up this particular scene, they set it up where I don't know what you officially call them, but the dragon trainers are like, this is blasphemy. Like, kind of similar to Jace. Like, what we're doing is not what I'm about. Like, I'm not about to just train a bunch of nobodies to ride dragons. It's a mythical lore and appreciation to the culture of dragon riders, and I'm not about to just have a bunch of nobodies waste my time. Especially what happened last week with, I don't know what days, how many days have passed in their timeline, but from us, last week's episode with Stefan dying. So like they're telling her, you're on your own. You made your bed, you got to lay in it. So, they get all the bastards, the common folk, the small folk into the room. He says a great speech. Right now, as soon as I saw the dragon, I would have been out. But, we see Hugh, we see Off, and we see a couple other, those are the two characters pretty much have been following. But you see men and women, in that room trying to, again, essentially, finding purpose. I hate to sound like a broken record, but that's very, very pivotal and important theme in this episode. So this whole episode, again, I don't want to keep sound like a broken record, but the way this episode was shot and the cinematography, and not to bring up old past. But listen, Game of Thrones, whenever we had some darker scenes, it was very hard to see what was going on. But this show has done a great job of lighting. The lighting department deserves a raise because we can see everything, feel everything, and it can all be seen on the screen. So that's always great. But we see this dragon who, I might be wrong. I don't know if we've seen Vimithor in season 1. We might have. I think we have. I might be wrong, but nonetheless, we see him in his full glory in this scene here. This show knows how to handle scale. This dragon is huge, and Rhaenyra is, speaking her Valerian and trying to calm the dragon down, and she eventually does. And I'm gonna sound like a broken record, man, but I don't know if my screen is doing enough justice. I mean, you guys saw the episode at this point, so you know what I'm talking about. But the scene here with the dragon behind her, put it in the books. Put it in the books, man, as one of those from blanking on the word I'm looking for right now. Freeze frame moments. Put it on a t-shirt. This was badass. This was badass. I love this shot here. But she is aiming to tame the dragon temporarily. And the moment I would have left that room is the moment she left the room, because she's not there to watch what's about to happen. I would have been out of there. Like, oh, you not staying? I'm not staying. She proceeds to go up on a higher level to see how all this is going to shape out, and one of the bastards step up and try to the dragon and get a read of the dragon, get a sense of the dragon, and vice versa. And it was snack time. It was it was time to eat, because we watch a full massacre, a full-on massacre. I think we all kind of knew this was coming. But what I didn't expect was how much Rhaenyra, she kind of took it all in. She didn't stop it. She said, this is unfortunately part of the process. They kind of knew what they were getting into. They wouldn't have been here if they knew that this was. I literally just told them, and seeing that this is a possibility of what can happen. And she's watching the destruction go down, and we as an audience, and we see the two main characters that we've been following thus far with this particular storyline gets thrown off the ramp on the platform. Hugh's running for his life. Probably oh man, these shots. I wish I can play these scenes, but obviously I can't with copyright reasons. But look at this. Look at this. Production team, kudos to you. Director, kudos to you. Cinematographer, kudos to you. This is VFX department. Good job. I mean, this is what we've been waiting for, right? It's called House of the Dragon, and we don't really see a lot of dragons, but this episode didn't disappoint. How many dragons have we seen in this episode? We opened the episode with Cyrex and Sea Smoke. We got Vilmathor. We got Vagar. We saw like 4 or 5 dragons this episode. I lost count. This is the most dragons I think we've ever seen in this show so far. And they didn't disappoint. So we're seeing, I think they gave him Bronze Fury is the nickname that Viltathor is given. And we see the fury of this dragon. I mean, he's taking them out. He's biting them, and it's looking like it's not off. Off, like I say, he's off the platform, kind of, he finds his, we'll talk about his scene here in a second, but Hugh comes across one of the small folk. They are literally facing death right in the eye. And, I think Hugh at this moment, the young lady, I believe, got away. He called off the dragon to focus on him. Hugh in this moment, to me, all the bent up tension, frustration, is in this moment. He's like, "Hey, dragon," it kind of remind me of a little bit of Jon Snow, and when he came face to face with the ice dragon, and he's kind of ready to go right then and there. Hugh, same thing. He gives out this battle cry, this battle war scream, and that was the moment he faced the dragon. He found his purpose. He the nobility, the dragon senses that, because I think the dragon, this, I talked about the sacrifice, but I think this was like a ceremony for the dragon to pick its rider. Every dragon has probably their own ways of how they choose their riders. We see that a little bit later with Silverwing. We saw that with Sea Smoke. Each dragon has their own way, and the dragon, I think, decided, I'm going to kill all of you all, and whoever can step up face to face, you are the rightful rider. And Hugh did that, and he bonded with this. Oh man! From the canon of the show, I could be wrong from the book readers, but I think they established that this dragon is the second biggest next to Vagar, and I can see it. Like I said, the way that the show captures scale is great. This dragon was huge, huge for Hugh. Hugh has a dragon that is can go toe to toe with Vagar, and I'm here for it. And also, I'm here for someone like Hugh that can step up. He's not afraid. He's about that life, so I can appreciate that about Hugh. And going back to what I mentioned earlier about the slow burn and the payoffs. We first met Hugh earlier in the season, and again, not to sound like a broken record, but someone that hasn't read the books, I'm like, this Hugh guy has to have a purpose. We're not just cutting to him for no reason. And lost his daughter, lost respect from his wife, and he's found his purpose. At the beginning of the season, what did we see Hugh doing? I don't want to use the word begging, but he was in front of the king, essentially like, "King, can you help me?" He was seeking for help, right? He was asking for help. He needed help. But at this point, he's come this far where it's just like, just like Adam. You got to take purpose. You got to find that that thing you want and go for it, man. So shout out to you, man. Like I said, aka The Witcher. I'm really excited to see what this show does with this character. Hopefully, I don't hope he doesn't die next week, which seems to be a really battle heavy episode of The Dance of the Dragon is the name of it. But I'm here for it, man. But on the opposite end, right, we have literally stumbling on a dragon. The Silverwing. He accidentally steps on, the eggs and literally just stumbles on this dragon. And Silverwing's not as, brutal. I think it's a she because that was their eggs. It could be he or she. I think it's a she, Silverwing. But the dragon finds its rider, like I say, completely opposite way of how the nobility of Hugh with screaming right in the face of the dragon. Meanwhile, Off is like taking his like hands up. It's over, but the dragon, Silverwing, was like, you are the one. I like it. I think it's the willingness to die maybe is what attracted the dragon, potentially. Just the submission of it all, like just accepting the fate of him potentially dying at that moment. That might have got the dragon's attention. But also the dragon, I might be wrong in reading this, but the dragon seemed to be playing with Off in that scene, like pushing him and kind of goofing around. And we kind of, I wouldn't, I would say Off is kind of a goofball, so it might be some correlation there, some connection they have there. I don't know if you call a dragon goofy unless you're watching like How to Train Your Dragon, but I think there's a bond there. There's a sense of levity, maybe, and like I said, the willingness to die that the dragon appreciated. But yeah, man, really, really interesting scene. Like I said, we literally get the polar opposites of someone, taking a noble path and just literally going face to face with a dragon, and someone else just throwing in a white flag. And all I know is I don't give a damn how the process is. All I know is we're Team Black. Man, we got some dragons and some riders to ride those dragons, and things are looking good. But I tell you what, things aren't looking good for Team Green as they're in the having a discussion, and you can hear in the background is chaos, people screaming, dragon. And we end this episode with Aemon, who has shown us multiple times that he is someone that is quick to action. He has no hesitation. He sees that there's a dragon out there. He sees Silverwing, and again, I'm like, this man Off just literally got his dragon and he's goofing around like, look at me, hey, look at me, you thought I was nothing, look at me now. I'm like, what is this fool doing? But this was all a part of the plan. Let me tell you something. This moment here, this is the first time. Let me see if I can find a better shot of this. This is the first time in a long time. And let me see if I can find it. Actual moment where Aemon was scared. Is as I'm playing the scene now, he's grabbing Vagar, turn. He's, again, I don't want to give too much credit to him, but he's smart, man. So he's getting Vagar to turn around because he can, like I say, he can sense that this is a setup. But again, there's a look in his, I'm gonna say eyes, in his one eye that he has left, of fear. It's the first time I think he's been afraid in a very, very long time. So he's, pulling Vagar, which I would imagine. Can you imagine trying to pull Vagar? How much struggle that has to be? Because we saw Vagar didn't listen to him when he died. But this shot here, is another classic shot of this episode. Where were you when Rhaenyra pulled up with Cyrax, with Silverwing, and her dragons? Where were you the night that happened? Memorable. Goosebumps, nerd bumps. I almost shed a nerd tear. That's how awesome it was. Because there's more to it than just like, I got my dragons, I'm ready for war. But this is your brother that killed your son, that killed his nephew. This is the first time they've come together or have seen each other since that night that they were the family all gathered up before, Sarah's died. That's the last time she saw him. And this is the man that killed her son. And she's ready for war. She is ready for that smoke. And I'm ready for it, man. I'm going to wrap this up. I want to put your scores in the comments, put your MVPs in the comments, and I'll make sure to read them off before we head out. But for my people that are watching this edited version, same, let me know your MVP, your score. But I'm going to wrap up by saying this episode, damn, 10 out of 10. I don't care. 10 out of 10. This is a perfect episode. There's literally no slow moments, dull moments, character questionable moments, boring moments where you're just like, why did they do it? No, I have no notes. I had literal notes. That's how we went over this episode. But no, I have no criticisms about tonight's episode because this was an episode that had payoff. This was an episode that sets up a great finale. This was an episode that has, again, from just a technical level. I remember seeing a clip the other day. They premiered this episode at Comic-Con the other day, and the producer and the co-creator was like, this is one of the biggest episodes of Game of Thrones history because of obviously the dragons. That's not an easy feat to bring those visual effects to the screen. He said that this is one of the biggest episodes of Game of Thrones, and it definitely is for so many reasons. But like I said, on a technical level, that's where I was like at a 9.5, but I'm going to give it that 10 because on a technical level, the cinematography, the freaking score was just chilling. The acting was amazing. The development, the journeys we see on, even again, the Alicent and the Reyna stuff, like two small kind of quick scenes. If you combine them, they're probably all like 5 minutes, but there's still so much substance in those 5 minutes and character development. The father and son conversation Corlys has with Adam and Alan. Jace talking to his mom about being a bastard, not a bastard himself. The dragon moment of Hugh and Off. The moment on Aemon's face with that one eye of fear. And that she said, I got no notes, man. I'm not trying to over speak hyperbole, but this was a perfect episode. It's a perfect episode. And what can make it even better is if they stick the landing next week. If they can stick the landing next week. I saw the trailer. It looks good. It looks action-packed. I have no doubt that the action's going to deliver, but I hope that the character stuff that we got in this episode carries on. And it feels like something, right? Because it's nothing better, not to get off track, but Deadpool and Wolverine came out this weekend. and I share my review, and you can watch it. But I didn't love that movie. It's because I didn't feel like it had stakes. I didn't feel like it had a story, and it didn't really have purpose. It was fun. It was entertaining. Cameos phenomenal, but there's not a lot of depth. And what I'm getting at is when you don't have depth and when you don't really have stakes, when you do get the action that I assume we're going to get next week in the finale with the dragons fighting, it doesn't mean anything if you don't care about what's happening on screen to the characters. But when you set up someone like Rhaenyra, when you set up someone like Aemon being so bloodthirsty and being, in his eye, being picked on and proving himself, when you have someone like, Jace that has something to prove, when you have someone like Off and Hugh, and the list goes on. And as I said earlier, if I see Rhaena on a dragon, I'm gonna go crazy. But again, it's all that character development. Again, I'm very much aware that the show hasn't been as enticing or as engaging or as exciting as season one. I get that. But this season has taken its time. I can acknowledge that. But I'm feeling that it's gonna have a good payoff. And we'll find out next week. So 10 out of 10. MVP. I'm gonna get an MVP too. I mean, Hugh's up there. I'm going Oscar. Get that young man an Oscar. Oscar is my MVP. So 10 out of 10 for me. Oscar's MVP. Phenomenal episode, and I can't wait to see what next week has. For those watching the edited version of this, like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you all on next week's finale. Hopefully you can join me on the watch party and join the after show. But back to the live audience. All right, what y'all talking about? Scores, comments, MVPs. Let me know before we wrap it up. Let me get to the comment section and see where you guys are at. Yes. They was like, pull up. They pulled up. I love it. Oh, that scene. Rhaenyra came. Yes. She certainly did. The chosen one. Yeah, I was screaming. I wasn't screaming, but I dropped the F-bomb live on stream because it was that amazing. But yeah, it was pretty incredible. Dragon Queen, yep. Badass, yep. I agree. He was scared shitless. Yeah, he was, Johnny. Not the one good eye. Eamon was pissed. Yeah, he was. Yes, he was. Scroll up a little bit more. Catch up to the comment section here. Again, I appreciate y'all, man. Sorry if maybe energy wasn't all the way there, because like I said earlier in the stream, my head is pounding. But luckily, great episode, and more importantly, got some great people to talk about it with. So I appreciate y'all, man. Hit the thumbs up if you can. I would appreciate it. I loved all the dragons. Yeah, they were great. So many great shots. Eating them off the grill. Snack time. Y'all are hilarious. I tell you. The score in this whole episode was amazing. So you guys agree with me that Alicent was willing to call it quits at that point? Yeah. Win-win. Basically. That's funny. But let me see the scores and who you guys gave your MVPs to. Let's see. Yes. Queen is here. Team Black. Yeah. Icon. Legend. Moment. I agree. All right, let's see. Oh, hold on, Jessica. I didn't even think of that. That is great. Yeah, you're talking about when the Night King rolls up all the dead bodies and was looking at Jon Snow. You're so right. She pulled up and was like, what now? I love it. Good call, Jessica. see, I said 10 out of 10. Yeah. Oops, sorry. Zia 9 out of 10. He was an MVP. Nice. Mark. See what Mark gave. 9.5. Okay. Respect. No worries. I appreciate y'all. No worries. I'm doing all right. So yeah, he was. I mean, he's crazy. But he's been picked on. He's he got his brother picking on him, and no one paying attention to him. Lost a damn eye. So I get it. 10 out of 10. Oscar. Great minds things alike, my friend. 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, Oscar. Yes, Oscar. I love it. A young man is hopefully has more to do in next week and for the foreseeable future. Cool MVP. I like that, Johnny. Yeah. If I were to give Cole, yeah, it would go to Hugh if I was doing Cole MVPs for sure. He sure did. 9.5. Oscar is a mini movie. Yep. Hugh, yep. He did his thing. I love Rhaenyra in the front. Oh, that's so many iconic moments in this episode. Man. The Bastards were up this episode. Yep. Love it, man. What was it? I would have given it a 10 if he would have lost his other eye. You would have gave it a 10 out of 10. So much better than episode 4. That was just the season of the Game of Thrones level 1. Yeah, for sure. Best episode of the season. Best episode of I can't say series because there was some great stuff in season 1, but yeah, definitely the best episode of the season for sure. Still Insecure. I agree. Yeah, we'll see what comes in next week, man. We got War coming, man. War is coming. I'm very curious to see. I should have saved that. I saw they put the runtime. They revealed it. I think next week's episode is like 78 minutes, maybe. So the Dragon runtime. Let me see. Yeah, 73 minutes. So next week's finale will be 73 minutes, which is an hour. Take out the credits, probably like an hour and 8 minutes long. But an hour and 13 is next week's episode. So we'll see. Yeah, it's funny you brought up. 73 minutes is the runtime next week. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, Helena, if you saw the trailer, she's gonna maybe step in. She's gonna be crazy. We'll see. But good stuff. Get the pitchforks ready. All right, y'all. Calling it a night. This week has been pretty fun and busy. If you are a Marvel fan, I have my non-spoiler review of Deadpool and Wolverine. If you guys want to get my thoughts on it, check that out. I did like almost an hour-long spoiler discussion, kind of breaking down the film, the pros, the cons, the ups, the downs, things I liked, didn't like, theories. Check that out. And then I cut that hour long into like little clip out videos of like sharing some of my thoughts. I have a video coming out talking about the Anchor. We'll talk about that. So again, if you're a Marvel fan, MCU fan, you can check out all that content. And then I'll edit down this video, put it out tomorrow sometime. And what else is this week? Is something happening this week? I'm trying to think. Oh, and if you're a Marvel fan, I did my Comic-Con coverage yesterday. Check that out. RDJ, Dr. Doom, what the hell? But yeah, I think that's about it. And I think there's M. Night Shyamalan movies coming out this week, so keep an eye out for that as well. So, all right, y'all be safe. Have a great week. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see y'all next week on the finale of House of the Dragon. Again, y'all be safe out there, and I'm stalling to try to find the end screen. There it is. Take care, everybody.